Vitamin K2 is distinct from K1, which you get from leafy greens for blood clotting. K2 directs calcium to bones and teeth rather than allowing it to deposit in arteries. Yet most people don't know K2 exists or that they need it. This is a critical nutrient for both bone and cardiovascular health, working synergistically with vitamins D and A. K2's roles are specific and important. It activates osteocalcin, a protein that pulls calcium into bones. It activates matrix GLA protein, which removes calcium from arteries. Without adequate K2, you can have high calcium intake but poor bone mineralization and simultaneous arterial calcification, the worst of both worlds. K2-rich food sources are limited in modern Western diets. Natto, fermented soybeans, contains the highest K2 content by far, but it's an acquired taste that most Westerners find challenging. Hard cheeses like Gouda and Brie contain significant K2 because bacteria produce it during aging. Egg yolks from pastured chickens have more K2 than eggs from grain-fed hens. Grass-fed butter contains some K2, while butter from grain-fed cattle has minimal amounts. The Western diet deficiency is dramatic. Modern food processing and grain-fed animals have drastically reduced K2 in our diet compared to traditional diets. Most people get adequate K1 from vegetables for blood clotting, but are severely deficient in K2. This wasn't always the case. Traditional diets with fermented foods and grass-fed animal products provided substantial K2. Supplementation guidance involves the -7 Malawian Quachas form derived from natto, which has a longer half-life in the body compared to -4 Malawian Quachas. Typical doses are 100 to 200 micrograms daily. Take it with fats for absorption since it's a fat-soluble vitamin. It's generally well tolerated with no significant side effects at these doses. The calcium paradox explains why some populations have both osteoporosis and heart disease despite high calcium intake. Calcium supplementation without adequate K2 and vitamin D is potentially harmful. Calcium may calcify arteries while bones remain weak. Comprehensive bone health requires the trio of calcium plus D plus K2. This explains why some high-dairy cultures with naturally K2-rich aged cheeses have both good bone health and lower cardiovascular disease. The cardiovascular angle is increasingly recognized. Arterial calcification contributes significantly to heart disease and stroke risk. K2 appears to potentially reverse arterial calcification in animal studies. Human epidemiological studies show associations between higher K2 intake and reduced cardiovascular disease, though we need more interventional trials. The warfarin interaction is important. Vitamin K affects blood clotting, it's warfarin's target. K2 was traditionally avoided in patients on warfarin anticoagulation. However, newer thinking suggests that consistent K2 intake with appropriate warfarin dose adjustment may actually be beneficial for these patients. This requires close physician consultation and monitoring. Don't start K2 supplementation if you're on warfarin without medical supervision. My warning is about the overlooked nature of this nutrient. K2 doesn't get the attention that vitamin D or omega-3s receive, but it's arguably just as important, particularly for the aging population concerned about both bone and cardiovascular health. If you're supplementing calcium and vitamin D for bones, you should also ensure adequate K2. If you're concerned about arterial calcification, K2 deserves consideration. The food sources are limited in typical Western diets, making supplementation reasonable for many people.